Hello.
Hey, I tweeted out, let's get this party started. And I'm wondering, did the Telegram thingy work?
I don't know. I'd have to go over to Telegram. Why don't you introduce and I'll look at Telegram.
Okay, hi everyone, if there is anyone. Welcome to our first ever live reading of Late Nights with Lenin. It's not really late at night on the eastern side, but if you live in Europe, it's like super late night for you guys, like it's 3 a.m. And if it's China, it's probably early morning. So welcome. Hi, Nomo Popo with the 3 bananas. I know, but last week I just could not get any other example besides bananas.
Last week it's been like 3 weeks in a row. You've been talking about.
Oh, 3 weeks in a row. Okay. That's the only example I've been using for a commodity is a banana.
I don't know if the Telegram is working.
Okay, don't worry about it then.
I see it up, but it's like kind of just going slow on me. So
okay,
I'm not sure if it's working or not. But
okay. Whoa. Okay. Okay.
So I'm back.
Right. Welcome back. Okay. Hi, Wade Pilgrim. We're Pilgrim.
We're Pilgrim. Yes.
Yes.
Right. So we're trying to do this whole. We're gonna do it all live. Normally we do
a pre-recorded segment, but I had COVID and then it got worse, and then we didn't have time to record it. So
we're recording it, but I wouldn't have had time to edit it.
So yeah, we're gonna just try it live because what else are we gonna do? Hello, Alex Marquez Perez Muñez Diaz. Hi, Strin. Okay.
So we're gonna have to.
I'm gonna close this thingy so I can't see what other people.
Get a little sidetracked, so we're gonna try to stay on track.
Yeah.
Try to read your comments at times and stuff like that.
But okay, but I've closed the comments so I can't see your comments. Now I guess let's get started with the word salad.
Oh, fun!
That's always fun.
When you look back, did Democrats fail past Democratic presidents, congressional leaders to not codify Roe v. Wade over the past 5 decades?
I think that, to be very honest with you, I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right, and that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the video. Yeah, see how the video was laggy? It was weird.
I do believe that we're living in really unsettled times.
We're living in unsettled times. So apparently you're trying to say that abortion was settled, right?
No, nothing's settled.
That's what she was claiming.
That's because she has not read Lenin and she doesn't understand about the counter-revolution, does she?
Yes. And also my question to all that, and I told you this before, was if the Democrats actually did believe it was settled, why were we fear-mongered on it for 49 years to get fundraising?
Because they don't believe it's settled, because they didn't want it to be settled. Nothing's settled, of course, because the empire always strikes back, and there's always a counter-revolution. Even everything is always up for grabs because that's just the way counter-revolutionaries are.
Yeah. And then what was happening off of that is, hold on, let me hold this. I forgot I had to have this open. I shut it, but the tweet that
Oh yeah. So
the
then you have this like normal lady, Brody, who made one of the most tepid tweets in response to that word salad.
yeah, yeah.
She said,
Here it is. This is actually two of the tweets. So she did Kamala Harris talks like she has a translator earpiece on and it has water damage.
yeah, exactly.
I added this other tweet because this was a tweet that Kay had.
Wait, can you show it? Show it.
I have it up. Can you see it?
No, I can't see it. But can they see it?
I don't know.
No, they can't see it either.
Yeah, weird, because it's saying that it's sharing. Why, Melon? Why are you doing this? All right, let me pull it up in Twitter itself because it's being weird.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, okay. I see what's happening. Okay. Now let me try to share it. Screen window. Now is it showing?
I can't see it.
God damn it.
Okay.
I don't know why Melon's being so weird.
Not just me to the chat.
Yeah. I can pull it up on the thing, but anyhow, they were they were just going at this woman who said this simple little thing.
Yeah, and the entire hive was like tagged Disney. It's like, Disney, you cool with your employee saying this about the vice? That was just nuts.
Yeah, they were totally going at her, totally just being frigging
nuts,
totally nuts, and
like the K Hive always is.
Screen, and hopefully this works.
Okay.
Hopefully this one works. All right, is that working?
I don't see anything. It's fine. Just share on the chat so they know what we're talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why Melon is being very.
It's fine to know what Melon is. It's an app that we use to live stream.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it was being very touchy today, so I don't know.
Okay.
The same thing happened last week with some, or 2 weeks ago with some stuff. So, but yeah, no, it was just like you have something like so simple, and you say like, what? Like she was talking word salad. She
should have said, yes, we thought it was settled because we are, I don't know, some bullshit. Or she could have said no, but we didn't want to do it because we are cynical and horrible people who wanted to fundraise off of it.
But even so, on top of that, this isn't the first time she's done this. It seems like she gets like one word and she gets stuck on that word. Unsettled. Like
yeah, because it's like she, and the thing is that she doesn't even have brain damage like Joe Biden. So what's her excuse?
No, and she was, I don't know. She was like
at least Joe Biden, you can say he's senile and brain damaged.
I mean, she was a lawyer is supposed to be.
She was not a very good lawyer. She was a prosecutor. Like
you still have to be kind of good with words. I mean,
not really. With prosecutions, like you just like charge them with everything, and then you just like hope they get intimidated enough to plea. And she once argued that this innocent man needed to stay in prison because he filed his paperwork late. But that's another story. She's a whore. Okay. Yeah. She's not. But this is why she's like a perfect what do you call it? What is this? Marionette doll for corporate donors, and that's probably how she got to be a senator.
Yes. So,
okay.
The other stuff that you already got bored with the Bolton stuff, though. So.
Yeah, I'm over. Okay, so he probably tried the 2002 Venezuela coup that failed. Like that's the only coup he could have been part of.
Well, Bolton was saying, yes, we've done coups, but did you see the
CIA guy who was like, you suck at coups, and yeah, he does, because like
you didn't do any coups, and then he's like all mad.
Well, okay, if he did the only coup he would have been able to have done is the 2002 Venezuela coup, and he really did not do a good job with that. He really sucked at that one. So,
Nope.
um,
And then the last thing that you wanted to talk about was the Macron stuff.
oh yeah, somebody's Uber. Apparently, when he was the interior minister, he was involved in some price fixing with the Uber.
Yeah. He changed some regulations.
Yeah, so to help the taxis go out of business or something like that.
Yeah. So.
And but the thing is that I looked at the leaks, and the leaks were shared to the Guardian and this NED outlet. So now I'm like so suspicious. I'm like, what's going on? It's the same NED outlet that did the Panama Papers for U.S. enemies. So it's like, I don't trust that outlet.
Yeah.
And why are like I only trust leaks. So at first I was like hoping maybe it was like Putin actually like kind of doing a little bit of a revenge, but no, it's not, because it did not go to WikiLeaks. It went to like a NED outlet that kind of doesn't really leak, and it filters the leak and so on. So I'm trying to figure. We still don't. The theory is that the new Uber CEO is Iranian, so maybe they're trying to get at Uber, but and exploited violence in battle for. I mean, this is not new. Like, yeah, everyone knows Uber did this. The only thing that's juicy is like if it gets people like Macron thrashed, but it's not. So
yeah, and then what we were looking at, because you were looking at the CEO, which was at the time Travis,
whatever,
Alec, whatever his name was, Kalanick, and then but now it's an Iranian American.
Yeah.
Khosrow Shahi.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to say his name because I have a stupid American mouth.
It's fine. I'm too lazy.
But I also learned how to. Now I got them to go upright because I could have shared the tweet because I screwed up. It wasn't. Sorry, Melon. It wasn't your fault. That one was.
It's fine. So, oh yeah. Carl Bildt, who used to be the ex-prime minister of Sweden, he accidentally got his tweets off. And he said, let me see if I can share. Can I share? Oh, yes, I can. Oh my God, I can share too. Okay. See, he accidentally tweeted
you have to put it on the screen. That's the thing.
I can't put it on the screen.
Oh, okay. So I'll show it on the screen.
Okay. So he said, then I assume that China will join all others in opposing all others. That's ignoring like hundreds of countries in the third, hundreds of countries. So you're just saying like all others is just like some Western European countries and Canada. Come on. Okay. In opposing Russia's violations against the terrorist integrity of Ukraine. Yeah, the terror. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And then what did
Chen Huihua say?
What did North Korea?
North Korea recognized the Democratic People's Republic of Korea recognized LNR, Lugansk Народная Republic, LNR and DNR as countries. And then Kiev cut off apparently diplomatic relations with the DPRK. They did that with Syria last week too. So I think next week, I believe Venezuela or in Cuba are probably going to come and recognize that. And it's going to get weirder and weirder. But Britain should probably soon recognize them as a country because one of their marks has been sentenced to death there. And then
I'm giggling at Nomo.
So yeah, Macron. Okay, Macron, Zelensky, and what's the other country? Yeah, you're right.
Probably president of everything. Everything they need him to be president for. Probably Russia. He's probably president of Russia.
No, he hasn't declared. No, but whatever. But yeah, so it was really, I don't know, pathetic, I guess, of like, it's so childish that they're like, Ukraine is cutting off all diplomatic relations with every country that recognizes the two republics.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it was kind of like, but it's funny because like even like, but was it like last summer or when was it like Barbados and like they all are starting to come out and say like we don't have to listen to the United States. Like
Barbados said that when like somebody said something
China.
about China.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, go, like it had something to do with China's and vaccines, and they're like, go away.
Yeah, like it, like I think that I feel like people, other countries are just being like, all right, we're kind of done with America playing.
Everyone's been done. They were just kind of scared of the assassinations. But then China hacked into the CIA. No. China did more than that. They hacked in, like they hacked into the federal like people management database. So they know how much everyone is worth. Who works for the federal government, how much debt they have, their credit history. They can turn anyone. And then like last year, apparently all the CIA assets in Africa started going dark, as in dying. So so no more coups. And that's when they started crying about the Wagner Group, which doesn't exist. Which of course they admitted that doesn't exist.
I saw something like even just last week, and they were talking about the Wagner Group.
But then, like they've also admitted that the Wagner Group does not exist. Like they can't find it. There is no corporation in Russia called the Wagner Group. There's no corporation.
Like, why would Russians use
something that doesn't exist?
But no, but why would they use like such a?
They wouldn't. They just made that up.
Word, like a Germanic name, not like wouldn't they use more of a Russian name or something?
They just made it, exactly, because the Wagner Group doesn't really exist.
Nationalists, so why would they call themselves after something that had
and the funny thing is that and in Russia you can't have private security firms because that's illegal, and so but there are people of Russian origin protecting, I guess, African presidents. That's making this whole coup thing harder or something like that, and that's what they're crying about. And so that's around the time when the Belt and Road Initiative has definitely made the State Department more childish somehow, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Blinken that's more? I can't tell. It's just like they've gotten way more ridiculous.
Someone's asking about Imran Khan.
What about Imran Khan?
Well, first they were saying,
of course we trust Imran Khan. He is he has not done anything shady. I don't have any doubts about Imran Khan. I trust him. He's uncorruptible. He was the captain of the Pakistani cricket team. He may have like had affairs, but who cares? Like, he can sleep with anyone he wants. He's an adult. No, he is not tied to British royalty. He is he's about as Pashtun as you can get. That's kind of offensive, even. No, he's definitely not tied to British royalty. He's a Pashtun.
So, do you want to start with the reading, or
do
you want to just talk about? Okay, so we're actually on part 6 of chapter 1 of development.
Yeah, this is what we kind of need to understand of how capitalism develops in a country, so that when you see something like that's currently happening, capitalism or industrialization, like the Belt and Road Initiative, you kind of understand what how the U.S. is like keeping people poor in Africa or whatever, and whatnot. But let's start with Chapter 1, Part 6, Marx's Theory of Realization. It follows automatically from what has been said that the fundamental premises on which Marx's theory is based are the following two propositions. The first is that the total product, as in total crap that a capitalist country makes, like in the individual product, consists of three parts. Constant capital, that is like the means of production or whatever thing that you need to make more of the product.
Yeah.
Variable capital, like workers or ingredients that changes based on whatever is going on with the product. And three, surplus value, which later you'll realize that Marx explains that there's no such thing as surplus value. It's stolen from the variable capital. To those who are familiar with the analysis of the process of production of capital given in Volume 1 of Marx's Capital, this proposition is self-evident. The second proposition is that two major departments of capitalist production must be distinguished. Namely, Department 1, what you need, the production of the means of production, which is a constant capital. Articles which serve for productive consumption are to be put back into production, and articles which are consumed not by the people but by capital. And Department 2, the production of the articles of consumption, articles used for personal consumption. There is more theoretical meaning in this division alone than all the preceding controversies over the theory of market, Bulgakov.
Yeah.
This is one of the rare occasions that Lenin is not criticizing or insulting Bulgakov, but that's another story.
So one of the examples that you started looking into as bananas was the sweater, right?
Oh yeah,
So,
the sweater.
sweater.
Okay, so when you're knitting a sweater, you go from sheep where you get the wool, and then that wool is that. So then, in order to get yarn, you have a wool and a spinning machine. The wool and the spinning machine are probably the constant capital, and then the guy who does this in the spinning machine is the variable capital, because then you can get the lady on a bicycle that does this, and then you can get no, seriously, you've seen the lady on the bicycle spinning machines, right?
Yeah.
And then you can get the guy who does this too, in the spinning machine, and then you get yarn, and so now the yarn is now the product of consumption, and then for the sweater, what is the constant capital is the wool that is turned into yarn.
Yeah.
So you need that first whatever amount of wool, and then you need the spinning whatever you needed for the spinning, and then you have the knitting needles, and then you knit, and then your variable capital is your labor the knitting needles are constant that you knit to make a sweater. Yes. Thank you for getting me off of the banana example.
We were on the bananas for a while. But.
I know. I could not think. I could just hadn't. I don't know why, but my mind kept on thinking about bananas.
I told you probably needed potassium.
Okay. Is that when you think about bananas? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. The question arises as to why such a division of products according to their natural form is now necessary to analyze the reproduction of social capital. When the analysis of production and reproduction of individual capital dispensed with such a division and left the question of the natural form of the product entirely on one side. On what grounds can we introduce the question of the natural form of the product into a theoretical investigation of the capitalist economy, which is based entirely on the exchange value of the product? The fact is that when the production of individual capital was analyzed, the question of where and how the product would be sold and of where and how the articles of consumption would be bought by the workers and the means of production by the capital was set aside as to making no contribution to this analysis and as having no relation to it. All that had to be examined was now what was the problem of the separate element. Like, so basically, like Adam Smith drew a little box around the marketplace.
Yeah.
And then he claimed invisible hand.
Yes.
But he was like ignoring everything outside that little box he drew.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And now, however, the question is, where will the workers obtain their articles of consumption? Where will the capitalists obtain their means of production? How will the finished product meet all these demands and enable the production to expand? Here, consequently, we have not only a replacement of value, but also a replacement in material. And hence, it is absolutely essential to distinguish between products that play entirely different parts in the process of the social economy. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Once these basic propositions are taken into account, the problem of realization of the social product in a capitalist society no longer presents any difficulty. Let us first assume simple reproduction, i.e., repetition of the process of production on its previous scale absent accumulation. So that's like if you take a wool and keep spinning.
Yeah.
You're just not hoarding wool. You're not, and everything is being sold into yarn.
Yeah, there's a lot of this part 6 rang to me like about like overproduction too, like avoiding an overproduction. Like you don't need the waste. Like you just produce what you need to produce, right?
No, yeah, you will, yeah, but it's more like explaining why you can't have profits without stealing from workers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, but I just in the background of it, it was like this whole thing, and that was the question too, right? Was that you couldn't sell to the workers couldn't buy the product or something, like what was that whole thing with the workers couldn't buy the product, or we were talking about it earlier.
That's a different problem. That's proletarization.
Oh, okay, all right.
When you have that's when you have like go from a feudal economy to a capitalist economy.
Yeah.
And you are turning the workers you're turning the artisans into workers, basically.
Okay, all right.
So that's, I guess, before this. Like this, now we are assuming that all the peasantry has been ruined and they all have to be proletariats.
Okay.
So this is like a little few steps later.
Okay.
Obviously, the variable capital and the surplus value in Department 2, which exists in the form of articles of consumption, are realized by the personal consumption of the workers and capitalists of this department. For simple reproduction presumes that the whole of the surplus value is consumed and that no portion of it is converted into capital. Further, the variable capital and the surplus value which exist in the forms of means of production, Department 1, must, in order to be realized, be exchanged for articles of consumption for the capitalists and workers engaged in making the means of production. On the one hand, neither can the constant capital existing in the forms of articles of consumption, Department 2, be realized except by an exchange for the means of production in order to be put back into the production for the following year. Thus, we get variable capital and surplus value in the means of production, exchanged for constant capital in articles of consumption. The workers and the capitalists in the means of production department in this way obtain means of subsistence, while capitalists in the articles of consumption department dispose of their product and obtain constant capital for further production. Under simple reproduction, parts exchange must be equal. The sum of the variable capital and surplus value in the means of production must be equal to the constant capital in the articles of consumption. On the other hand, if we assume that reproduction on a progressively increasing scale, accumulation, the first magnitude must be greater than the second, because there must be available a surplus of means of production with which to begin to further production. Let us revert, however, to simple reproduction. There has been left unrealized one more part of the social product, namely constant capital in the means of production. This is realized partly by exchange amongst the capitalists of the same department. Coal, for example, is exchanged for iron because each of these are both raw materials and serve as a necessary material or an instrument in the production of the other. Because, yeah, you need coal to burn coal to melt iron and whatever. And partly being put directly into production. For example, coal extracted in order to be used in the same enterprise again for the extraction of coal, grain in agriculture, like seeds. As for accumulation, its starting point, as we have seen, is the surplus of the means of production, as in surplus of coal or surplus of iron. And taken from the surplus value of the capitalist in this department. A surplus that also calls for the conversion into capital of the part of the surplus value into the articles of consumption. A detailed examination of how this additional production will be combined with simple reproduction we consider to be superfluous. It is no part of our task to undertake this special examination of the theory of realization, and the foregoing is enough to elucidate the error of the Narodnik economists and to enable us to draw a certain theoretical conclusions regarding the home market.
So the constant capital would be the sheep.
Perhaps, if we're using the wool example.
If we're using the wool example. So all right, we'll just go to the yarn. It was already made. All right, so the constant capital
is the wool.
The place that's manufacturing the sweaters always needs to keep getting the wool.
Yeah.
So the constant capital is always, they know what that's going to cost them. They know all this. The variable capitals are the workers, or if there's extra fluff they need to put on it, like buttons or like something that they wouldn't normally use or something like that. That would be the variable, because that could change.
Yeah.
Right? And then so the surplus value, what they claim is surplus value, shouldn't really exist, because the surplus value, because honestly, the only money being made in the end should go either to the constant capital to keep it going, or to the variable capitals, which are workers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Basically, you don't have a surplus value unless you're like, if a worker works for 12 hours and you pay him for 12 hours, you're not going to have a surplus value unless you only pay him for 10 hours.
Yes. Or you pay him for 50% of what you make off those 12 hours.
Then you're paying him for 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably, you're probably more paying him for 3 hours.
Okay. Yeah, whatever so
whatever,
however extra you have comes from you not paying the worker for the labor.
Just that surplus value, that extra little bit of money, or like that extra.
No. Okay, so the surplus value is basically, okay, if you have wool and then you turn into yarn.
Yep.
The value, it's the difference in the price of wool and yarn.
Yes.
But that comes from 100% worker labor.
Veritable, yeah.
100% labor of the worker, yeah, and 0% of you doing anything. So you shouldn't have any surplus value, to be honest, unless, like I said, you're not paying your worker for labor. Yeah.
Surplus value is basically profit.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I forgot where we are.
Right at the top on the new.
On the problem of interest to us, that of the home market, the main conclusion from Marx's theory of realization is the following. Capitalist production and consequently the home market grow not so much on the account of articles of consumption as on the account of means of production. In other words, an increase in the means of production outstrips the increase in articles of consumption. Indeed, we have seen that constant capital in articles of consumption is exchanged for variable capital plus surplus value in the means of production. However, to the general law of capitalist production, constant capital grows faster than variable capital. Hence, constant capital in articles of consumption has to increase faster than variable capital and surplus value in the articles of consumption, while constant capital in means of production has to increase the fastest of all, outstripping both the increase of variable capital in the means of production and the increase of constant capital in the articles of consumption. And you can tell how that's ridiculous because, like, for example, if we're going to use the cobalt miner thing, the amount of cobalt you keep having to do has to, in order for there to be a surplus value, you have to the amount of cobalt you dig from the ground has to be done super fast, while converting the thing to pure cobalt can be done slower. But of course, we know that it's impossible to dig cobalt from the ground that fast. So you're not paying the cobalt. You're cheating the cobalt worker the most. The cobalt child slave, whatever. That's the one you're cheating the most.
Yeah. We don't think of that though. We don't think of. We're fine with getting our phones and computers here because we don't have those children here doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But that's what the entire book, Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism, is about. It's about how they push the downstream to the colonized countries. I mean, that's basically what India did. I mean, what England did with India. Sorry, I wish India did it with England, but yeah, they first made the industry, and then so in India they were growing the cotton and the opium and whatever else, and then in Manchester they had the factories that were manufacturing the cloth that they dumped back, and that's how they, yeah. So, but it's the same thing. It's just that in imperialism, he shows you what is a colony versus what is a nation, and. Yeah. But here, it's all happening in one nation state, I guess.
Yep.
I forgot where.
The Department of Social.
The Department of Social Production, which produces the means of production. No. For capitalism, therefore, the growth of the home market is to a certain extent independent of the growth of personal consumption and takes place mostly on the account of productive consumption. But it would be a mistake to understand this independence as meaning that productive consumption is entirely divorced from personal consumption. The former must and must increase faster than the latter, and there its independence ends. But it goes without saying that in the last analysis, productive consumption is always bound up with personal consumption. Marx says in this connection, we have seen that continuous circulation takes place between constant capital and constant capital. So Marx is thinking of wool and money, and the funny example he uses is the Bible and the money.
Yeah. About that before, yeah.
Yeah, Marx has in mind constant capital in the means of production, which is realized by the exchange among capitalists in the same department. It is at first independent of individual consumption because it never enters the latter. But this consumption definitely limits it nevertheless, since constant capital is never produced for its own sake, but solely because more of it is needed in the spheres of production whose product goes into individual consumption. The larger the consumption of constant capital is nothing but a higher level of development of productive forces. One expressed in terms of exchange value, because rapidly developing means of production consists in the main of machines, materials, instruments, buildings, and all other sorts of accessories for large scale, especially machine production. It is quite natural, therefore, that capitalist production, which develops the productive forces of society, and creates large-scale production in machine industry, is also distinguished by a particular expansion of that department of social wealth, which consists of the means of production. In this case, namely the production of the means of production. What distinguishes a capital society from the savage is not, as Senior thinks, the privilege and the peculiarity of the savage to expend his labor at times in a way that does not procure him any products resolvable into the revenue, into articles of consumption. No, the distinction consists of the following. The capitalist society employs more of its available annual labor in the production of the means of production, which are not resolvable into revenue in the form of wages or surplus value, but can only function as capital. When a savage makes bows, arrows, stones, and hammers, axes, baskets, he knows very well that he did not spend the time so employed in the production of the articles of consumption, but that he has stocked up on the means of production he needs and nothing else. This very good knowledge of one's relation to production has disappeared in capitalist society owing to the latter's inherent fetishism, which presents the social relations of men as relations of products, owing to the conversion of every product into a commodity produced for an unknown consumer and to be realized by an unknown market. And as it is a matter of the utmost indifference to the individual entrepreneur what kind of article he produces, every product yields a revenue. The same superficial individual point of view was adopted by economist theoreticians in relation to the whole society and prevented the process of reproduction of the total social product in capitalist economy from being understood. The development of production and consequently of the home market, chiefly on the accounts of means of production, seems paradoxical and undoubtedly constitutes a contradiction. It is real production as an end in itself, the expansion of production without a corresponding expansion of consumption. But it is a contradiction not of doctrine, but of actual life. And it is this sort of contradiction that corresponds to the very nature of capitalism and to the utter contradictions of this system of social economy. And this is the contradiction that forces capitalist countries to go imperialize other countries and so on. And it is this expansion of production without an expansion of consumption that corresponds to the historical mission of capitalism and to its specific social structure. The former consists in the development of productive forces of society. The latter rules out the utilization of these technical achievements by the mass of the population. There is an undoubted contradiction between the drive towards unlimited extension of production inherent in capitalism and the limited consumption of the masses of people, limited because of their proletarian status. It is this contradiction that Marx records in the proposition so readily quoted by Narodniks, and which are supposed to corroborate their views on the shrinkage of the home market, the non-progressive character of capitalism. Here are some of these propositions. Contradictions in the capitalist mode of production. The laborers as buyers of commodity are important for the market, but as sellers of their own commodity labor power, capitalist society tends to keep them down to the minimum price. Yes, that's a contradiction. The conditions of realization are limited by the proportional relation of the various branches of production and consumer power of society. But the more productiveness develops, the more it finds itself at variance with the narrow basis in which the conditions of consumption rest. The limits within which the preservation and the self-expansion of the value of capital is resting on the expropriation and pauperization of the great mass of producers can alone move. These limits come continually into conflicts with the methods of production employed by capital for its purposes, which drive towards unlimited extension of production, towards production as an end in itself, and towards unconditional development of the social productivity of labor. The capitalist mode of production is, for this reason, a historical means of developing material forces of production and creating an appropriate world market, and is at the same time a continual conflict between this historical task and its own corresponding relations of social production. The ultimate reason for all real crises always remains the poverty and restricted consumption of masses, as opposed to the drive of capitalist production to develop the productive forces, as though only the absolute consuming power of society constituted their outer limit. These propositions all speak of the contradictions we have mentioned, namely the contradiction between the unrestricted drive to expanded production and limited consumption and nothing else. Nothing could be more senseless than to conclude from these passages in Capital that Marx did not admit the possibility of surplus value in being realized in capitalist society. He attributed crises to underconsumption and so forth. Marx's analysis of realization shows that the circulation between constant capital and constant capital is definitely limited by personal consumption, but the same analysis shows the true character of its limitedness. It showed that compared with the means of production, the articles of consumption play a minor role in the formation of the home market. And furthermore, there is nothing more absurd than to conclude from the contradictions of capital that the latter is impossible and non-progressive and so on. To that is to take refuge from unpleasant but undoubted realities in the transcendental heights of romantic dreams. Yeah. The contradiction between the drive towards unlimited expansion of production and limited consumption is not only the contradiction between not only the contradiction of capitalism, which would exist and develop without all its contradictions. The contradictions of capitalism testify to its historically transient character, as in it's going to have to explode one day, and make clear conditions and causes of its collapse and transformation into a higher form, which is socialism. But they by no means rule out either the possibility of capitalism or its progressive character when compared with, say, feudalism.
Okay. That was part 6.
Yes, I need a drink break.
Yes. Go take a drink break.
Yeah. This is like Lenin makes it so obvious.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, like, economics shouldn't be that tough. You know what I mean?
No, I mean economics is only tough is because the economists are there's two kinds of economists: the ones that lie to themselves and the ones that lie to you, and the ones that lie the entire all of anything that's not Marxian economics is just like lying to either yourself or the basic thing is they just have to ignore imperialism, and then they have to
they have to make it seem like, okay, imperialism is fine, capitalism.
Or no, it does not exist. And then you get the Paul Krugman type of economists, where with the invisible hand of you might as well just say magical wizard if you're going to use invisible hands. Or you get the worst ones are the total sociopaths, which know they're lying to you. So, but then when you realize, and that economics is supposed to be confusing because you're not supposed no one's gonna like it once they know that was made by a child slave, right?
Yeah.
In order to keep this current system, you have to obscure it from understanding.
Yeah,
but
no one wants to hear you are using your computer. No one wants to hear that the people that created your computer were under
child slaves.
There's a guy that's homeless that actually, he works full time, but he's living in his car to make your computer or something.
Or it's probably more like Parasite, where they have have you seen the movie Parasite?
I don't think I have.
Oh,
No.
it's a really good movie. It's about capitalism. Like, so there's one family that lives in Seoul, and they have this like basement apartment that leaks, and like it's like, it's really, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then there's this like really rich family, and then but like this basement apartment, whenever it rains, like it like leaks sewage, and yeah.
Well, it's kind of it goes to the point of also like not understanding like someone can't afford something either. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well,
like,
I mean, but there is
why can't everyone just get electric cars or something like
well,
that?
because you can't make that many. Well, yeah, and then well, who's gonna if everyone can afford electric cars, then there will be no child slave to make your battery.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, yeah, we have to watch Parasite. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, it won it like I think it's one of the few foreign films that. How long was Belt and Road been around? Since right before TPP. That's why Obama tried to do the TPP. So
Yeah. Was it?
2014ish.
Wow. 2014 did a lot. Had a lot of stuff going on. Right?
Right? I think about 2014. It used to be called One Belt
Yeah.
whatever.
I want to say yeah. It's been almost if it hasn't been a decade, it might have been 2012. It might have been.
It's exactly when Obama was trying to push the TPP. So the entire point of the
Yeah.
TPP is to get these countries not to like get involved in the Belt and Road Initiative.
Yeah.
So that's why he was pushing so hard.
Oh, and when you're bringing that up, that was I was mentioning to you that people were like talking about, oh my god, because in June, I guess Putin came out saying, bringing up the currency too, and so I don't know why, but Putin had said something in June about China and Russia doing a currency or something.
They've been doing that for
Yeah,
decades.
they've been saying it for years, but like people
They've
were
been. I swear they've been doing it for like decades now.
yeah, because it would definitely
It's way before Belt and Road, like the China Russia currency thingy.
probably a couple of decades. Yeah.
Long, as long, yeah, for a while. Mm, in my memory says it's before the Belt and Road.
Yeah. Hey.
So what are people freaking out about again?
I mean, just oh my god, like that's gonna start World War III, or that's gonna
No, that does not start World War III.
no, like they have every right to
Make whatever currency they want to make.
Yes, exactly.
What starts World War III is the U.S.'s inability to accept that, and going like Gollum with just like mine, my precious.
It's exactly what we do.
Yeah, so if the U.S. doesn't act like Gollum, then they can make.
Well, that was my tweet. I put they said something about what Uganda found so much
gold. They found a lot of gold somewhere in Uganda.
They found like 45 billion in gold, and they put USD after it. And I go, their first thing was telling anyone, and the second thing is putting USD because now the US thinks that belongs to them.
Yeah. Well, the word gold, exactly, with the gold, they're literally like, mine,
that's mine. You put USD on the end of it, it's mine.
Well, even if you don't put it, it's still mine.
No,
because it's gold.
You could call it anything.
Yeah.
But don't ever tag it with USD. That's
yeah. Exactly. So
we're on section 7, the theory of the national income.
Oh, okay. Oh,
ready for it?
No, I'm tired. So let's read something funny about Lenin.
Okay, so you want to do a little
something short and funny. I'll find something short and funny. Okay. What have we not done? That's okay. I know. Volume 19 is what we're gonna have to do.
Volume 19.
No. Like okay. Anything that, if you want to find something funny where he's like trolling the Democratic Party, it is always, it's like between 1905 and 1913 because that's when they had the Duma. Okay, let's see. Cadets. Let's see. What do we make fun of?
You do that. I'm gonna read some. What do we got going here?
I think we've done this before, but this is a sensible compromise. This sounds great. Okay, let's do this one.
Okay.
This is funny.
I think I can scroll it too, like using the.
Okay, where do I'll can I WhatsApp it to you?
WhatsApp it to me and I'll pull it up and then we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
I'm not going to have it in the same format, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. No more proposed. Like, I expect Western media to be handed scripts from G7 initiative to demonize BRI, and maybe a plan B for World War III since Ukraine is failing. Yeah, I thought they were already handed scripts. Like, how does Western media, all of them, like, get on the same script on the same? Like, I'm always curious, like, how that bat memo is. Bat signal.
The bat signal.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I said bat memo.
The bat memo.
I meant bat signal.
All right, so you're not going to be able to read that though.
No, I can't see it close enough to read it. It's okay. I'll read it. Okay.
Can you read it from your thing?
Yeah. Answer. Okay. Cadets on 2 camps and sensible compromise. The answer given by Wretch means speech, the semi-official organ of the cabinet on the question of slogan for the elections to the Fourth Duma and on the present-day political alignment, represents an interesting and significant phenomenon. Wretch agrees with Russkiya Vedomosti that elections to the Fourth Duma will be a contest between only 2 camps, the progressists and the rights. Rights are like totally right-wing nut jobs. Votes will have to be cast not for parties nor for individual candidates, but for or against the consolidation of the constitutional system in Russia. And in Lenin's quote tweet is, consolidation is a very charming way of putting it. The political meaning of this slogan is an objective acknowledgement of the indisputable fact that the line pursued by the government has united the entire opposition, both to the right and the left of the cadets, and the cadets will constitute the center of this politically heterogeneous group. And although they form part of it, they will renounce their former programs and tactics just as little as did the Social Democrats when they joined the pre-October alliances. The editorial, January 21st. Gentlemen, we say in reply to the semi-official and official press, it is you yourself have been instrumental in uniting us. At present, political trends in Russia are merging to an ever greater extent into 2 big camps, for and against the Constitution. Our present task is the same, and again, the same just as it was before October 17th. In assessing these observations, we must distinguish between the conditions attending the elections to the Fourth Duma, the social and political meanings of the changes under discussion, the slogan and the alignments, and the circumstances of the election in general, in the provinces in particular, will certainly compel the opposition to resort to the vague non-party term progressists on an even wider scale than before. Refusal to legalize even such parties as the cadets will inevitably lead us, and the bewilderment of the semi-official organ of the cabinet on this score is of course nothing but sheer hypocrisy. In big cities, for instance, the cadets themselves admit in the very same editorial that independent candidates of groups more to the left, using the expression of Russkaya Vedomosti, will stand for election. This alone shows that there can be no question of 2 camps. Further, Rich thought it was best to completely forget the existence of the worker curia as provided by the present election laws. Finally, with regards to the elections in village, the peasant curia, it must be said here, even the word progressist will undoubtedly be avoided, but it will probably not be the cadets who will constitute the actual center of the politically heterogeneous or politically undefinable groups.
So wait a sec. So they are not going to use the word progressist
for the villages.
for the villagers because they don't think that the villagers would like progressive.
Yeah.
So isn't that kind of what they tell us now?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm reading it. Then what does the talk about the two camps amount to? To the fact that it pleases the cadets, in speaking of the present political situation, to narrow down their field of vision to include only those elements that constitute the majority in the third Duma. The cadet gentlemen are willing to recognize as political camps only that insignificant section of the population represented by these elements. Hitherto, the main division in this small corner created by the coup d'etat of June 3rd has been rightists, the Octoberists, and the cadets. It is well known that the character of the Third Duma was determined in the final analysis by two majorities, the Octoberists with the rightists and the Octoberists with the cadets. And now, according to the forecast of Ruskaya Vedamosti, with which Rich is in agreement, there will be three elements will be divided into two camps: the rights and the progressists.
Wait, so the rights had a coup d'état?
Yeah.
On June 3rd? Is that kind of like our January 6th?
No, it was a real coup d'état.
Oh, it was a real one.
Yeah. We fully admit that these predictions of the liberal are based not on the wishes of the liberals alone, but on objective facts as well, on the changes in the political situation and the political sentiment of the Russian bourgeoisie. It would be impermissible, however, to forget that one can speak of two camps only when their field of observation is limited to the majority in the Third Duma. And it would be impossible to forget that the actual meaning of all this talk is nothing more than the tendency on the part of the Octoberists and the cadets to draw closer together and merge and unite in the progressist camp, with the tacit understanding of course, that more or less a considerable section of the Octoberist camps will defect to the right.
Well, the Octoberists were rights, though.
Yeah.
They were on the right.
But now the rights are like totally right wing.
Yeah. So the Octoberists is kind of
half of them will then defect to the rights. When the cadets say we have been united, again, we have one task. In these words, we, us, our, actually mean nothing more than the Octoberists and the cadets. Now, what has united them and their task? What is their slogan to the Fourth Duma? The consolidation of the Constitution, reply Ruskia Vedamosti and Rech. The reply is a seemingly definite. Actually, it defines absolutely nothing. It amounts to the same absolutely meaningless reference to some indefinite mean between the Octoberists and the cadets. For both Milyukov and Guchkov, Milyukov is the cadet and Guchkov is the Octoberist, I think, or is that, agree that, thank God, we have a constitution. But when they dream of making a common cause for the purpose of consolidating not what we have, but what we have not, it is also a dream and not a very sensible one at that. And that Milyukov and Guchkov, the cadets and the Octoberists of today and the progressives of tomorrow, could agree on the definition of what could be included in the desired constitution. They would be unable to agree either on the legal formulations expressing the Constitution or defining what real interests of what actual classes this Constitution should meet and safeguard. Hence, the real meaning of this joint slogan amounts to this. While they are being drawn more closely together by a negative aim, that of the struggle against the common enemy, as Rech puts it in the same editorial, the Octoberists and the cadets cannot define their positive tasks and cannot find in their camps the forces that will be capable of emerging from a deadlock. This sounds familiar, right?
Exactly. Who was the common enemy?
The rightists.
The rightists were the common enemy, but the Octoberists lean into the right?
Eventually.
So it totally is like what's going on.
The observations of Rich on the subject of a sensible compromise in connection with another matter matter for a very clearly expressed admission that they are indeed in a state of deadlock, and that it is necessary to emerge from this state, and that this is necessary for both the Octobrists and the cadets, and that after they have emerged, both will be absolutely impotent by themselves. This is all too familiar, right?
Uh-huh.
During the debate in the Duma on the St. Petersburg sewage system?
Sewage. Yeah, sewage.
So the R is silent. We read in an editorial of the Ret on January 20th, the unhealthy undercurrent of the controversy was somewhat lessened, and even the center, the Octobrists, found it possible to accept the sensible compromise which the People's Freedom Group proposed and the municipality accepted. But the interference of Stolypin Pyotr Stolypin rudely tore away the veil. You, messieurs cadets, would like the vexed question to remain hidden under a veil, wouldn't you? That's Lenin's quote tweet. And reveal the same old background with which everyone has been disgusted for some time. That the political struggle of the state against the municipality. The liberal bourgeoisie, in the guise of an innocent person dreaming of sensible compromises on a business-like non-political basis, and the representatives of the old non-constitutional principles in the role of political educators who tear down the veil and reveal the class background. A sensible compromise, the liberal muses, means that what the cadets and the Octobrists and the non-party bigwigs of capitalists, the St. Petersburg municipal, have agreed may be conceded. There is nothing sensible in the idea of our yielding to you, the government replies. The only sensible thing is that you yield to us. The minor question of sanitation of St. Petersburg and of the distribution of responsibilities and rights between local self-government and autocratic government became the occasion for the elucidation of the truths of no mean importance. What is more sensible, the wishes, the dreams, and demands of the whole bourgeoisie, or the power of, say, the Council of the United Nobility? In the eyes of the wretch, as well as the whole cadet party, the criteria of wisdom of a compromise is in its approval by men of affairs, businessmen, bigwigs, the Octobrists themselves, the wire pullers of the St. Petersburg municipality themselves. But the actual state of affairs, no matter how it is furbished upon with phrases like, "Thank God we have a constitution," unmasks these compromises and tears away the veils rather rudely. To sum up, you have been instrumental in uniting us, Wretch says to the semi-official organ of the cabinet. Who do they mean by us? It appears that they mean the Octobrists and the cadets. What have they been united for? A common task, the consolidation of the Constitution. And what are we to understand by the Constitution and its consolidation? A sensible compromise between the Octobrists and the cadets. What is the criteria of the wisdom of compromises of this kind? The approval of the worst by the worst representatives of Russian Kolupaya capitalism, thievery. Okay. Such as the St. Petersburg municipal councillors. And what is the practical results of these compromises? The results is that Pyotr Stolypin or the Council of State or Tamachnov, who is the governor of Odessa. The governor of Odessa right now is also extremely reactionary. He's that George. Okay, so he was the color. Okay, sorry. Etc. Rudely unmask these compromises. Oh, these practical politicians. But will there not be a third camp at the election to the Fourth Duma, one that realizes how ridiculous, how senseless, and how naive the cadet policy of sensible compromises? What do you think of that, gentlemen of the Wretch and Rizgaya Vedomosti? Of course, the third camp is the Russian Social Democratic Party, which is Lenin's party, of course. Nothing changes.
Ridiculous. No, and it is funny when you read some of this stuff and you just like, what would you do all last year? Like, oh, just take this name and put in the Democrats, and then you take this name and you just add in, Republicans, or you can.
Yeah, the cadets, you don't even have to take anything in. It's just constitutional Democrats.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And it's really funny because, yeah, the Democrats still, I mean, like, they're even now speaking about sensible compromise.
Someone's asking about the Belt and Road, like how long.
What's the question?
How long it's been around? So
I'm pretty sure it's 2014.
Well, they were wondering if it went even further back.
I don't think so.
Belt and Road Initiative. 70 countries? Huh.
Yeah. I think Argentina is the newest one to sign it. No.
2013, 9 years ago it formed.
Okay, I was right. Almost. I was off by a year.
The first forum was 2017. So they started 2013 and they...
Oh, well, they called it one road.
Yeah, there was... Yeah, there was like a... One belt, one road.
Yeah, but now, like, they're like... now they're like, no, we're not building just one belt and one road. We're building a lot of...
Yeah, because they were following like the Silk Road, right?
Yeah. It was like the first dream. Like the first dream was like going from, what do you call it? Shanghai all the way to Ankara on a high-speed rail. But then they've added more. Like now they're gonna connect Delhi to Moscow, and then like all of Africa is gonna get connected. And then I guess now, like Serbia, now I believe the plan is to go all the way to Venice.
Oh yeah, they got way out, but yeah, we can't even get a train to connect. I don't know.
Well, no, we can if we get China to come in and build it.
But no, we could get one, but we don't have.
We don't want to.
Yeah,
because then that wouldn't make it easier for them. Oh. My theory is that it's racism is the reason why you don't have trains in America, but that's just my theory.
Why do you think?
Okay, so like if you had trains, then people can move around, and then like you can't like have like places like Gary and like Indiana where you like versus, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because you don't want like you could have anyone coming in to your town if a train goes through your town.
Yeah. That's my theory on racism. Like racism is my theory.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay. So I live in a pretty affluent town in Massachusetts, and we do have one on the edge of town. Because we're so close to Boston that it had to run through. It had to run through us, but like they built it up around there, and now all of a sudden they're like, there's so much more crime. I'm like, no, there isn't.
You just made that up.
Like, shut up. There is not so much more crime. Yeah, there's more stores, so maybe there's some shoplifting. Oh,
I doubt that. Like, crime is like bullshit. Like, because it's all about like you don't know about most crime unless like somebody makes an arrest for it. Exactly. So you have more police arrests, but that's not a proxy for crime.
Yeah, and it's because there's more stores around there, so they're talking about the shoplifting, whatever, which is
that was just code for
whatever.
They're just being racist. That's what I'm gonna say.
Exactly.
But that's my. But yeah. So. But now they're gonna get like. Oh, by the way, the DPRK has super high speed trains too. I did not realize that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, like so they connected. There's a train that goes from whatever. I can't. It's not Pyongyang, of course.
Yeah. I don't know.
Quezon or something like that. Like it goes from the border every day. Like, and then there's a train that also goes every day from the DPRK to Russia, and then there's another one that goes every day like to China.
All right, so they're talking about the wall. All right, What's going on in our?
Okay, somebody's talking about some movie from the 1970s called The Walls of Sayasana, where there are Chinese workers that are coming to Yemen to help them build walls and roads.
Oh,
And we'll watch it. Yes.
yes. We should do.
Well, we have to figure out how not to get.
Well, we can do that. Like if we.
How
like,
do you get
we
your
have it
stream?
on
Remember, the
Amazon?
stream got killed last time we showed like 1 minute of Batman.
I know, but we can't do it up. I guess we can't do it on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
We'd have to do a watch party.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon has those watch parties now, but
Yeah. Well, we've been watching The Boys.
yes. Well, we
Until,
got through a couple.
well, I got sick with COVID.
I know you got sick, and so then I've been waiting to watch more.
Okay. We watched how many? Like, okay. So the last episode we watched had to do with like. Okay. If you have not seen The Boys, shut it off because we're gonna do spoilers. Is when like Victoria Newland. Why do I want to call her Newland? I'm sorry.
Because her name is almost Victoria Newland. They totally almost named her that.
Okay. Where Victoria.
It's like new something. It's Vicky knew something.
Knew something. Okay. Well, she's a mutant. That's
Yeah,
X-Men, but yeah. But then, like, okay, so then Huey finds out behind the garbage can.
Mm-hmm.
Did we watch another episode after that?
No, I think. Well, no, wait. We watched. Yeah, we watched one more after that.
Okay, what happened? I forgot.
Because I remember we watched it right after that because we were talking about how she was
The head exploder.
Well, because there was a person that they were looking for.
Soldier Boy.
Yeah, the Soldier Boy.
The Soldier Boy used to be like in The Boys in the 1970s, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, and there was some weirdness around that. So
yeah, that's like there's a mystery. Because if Soldier Boy was killed, it means that these superheroes can be killed. Like right now, like you can't really kill Homelander.
Yeah. Yes. That's probably what it is. But we've been doing. You and I just doing watching, but we could probably do a movie watch.
Yeah, we could probably we can do a Parasite watch party one day.
Yeah.
Once we figure out the copyrights and all this, that would be Parasite. It's hilarious. The same director did this other one, Snowpiercer.
Oh, okay, all right.
Have you seen that?
I've seen that. I haven't.
It's like on this train where it's kind of like there's like it's like an infinite train because like the world is frozen.
Yeah.
And then like they're like lying to the people in the back class. And then they storm it.
When I was watching it, so I'm just barely remembering it.
What?
I said I think I was really drunk when I watched it, so I'm just barely remembering it.
Okay, so there was the world. It's like a future where the world is frozen and everyone is like surviving on this infinite train that just has to go in a circle until the snow frosts off.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yes. I don't know. I'd have to watch that again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's the same director.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. He made another good movie. I know Snowpiercer, but he's also made but Parasite. Like I said, it was a foreign film that won Best Picture, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's a good critique on capitalism. Well, it's actually not a critique on capitalism as much as like showing life. And life itself is if you're poor, you have this like really shitty apartment that like when it rains, it leaks.
Yeah.
In the basement.
No, we may be able to it may just be the difference between like copyrights on Twitch and YouTube. YouTube is freaking horrible.
Did you do that one about the pig? I don't know. I just know. Yeah.
What one about the pig? I'm thinking of Babe.
I don't know, but
Babe. I don't know. Sorry, my pop culture is horrible lately because my brain is gone much on me. Train to Bhutan?
Bhutan, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So, is there anything else?
What grows on my is otherwise film is what grows on my fermented pickles and cabbage, otherwise fail worthlessly. I think this is a kimchi joke that I don't get. Yeah.
Oprah and the host. Oh, the
Okay.
host sounds familiar. Oh, he did Mother too.
Okay.
All right. So
Anyways, with that, Smrti fascismo slobodu narodu.
yeah, we'll get through chapter one of these days. But
I needed a break to do like.
Well, you were just coming off of COVID. You just
it's hard to do. Yeah, well, we got two pieces though. We got a funny piece about like how the cadets behave just like the Democratic Party with their sensible compromises.
Yes. So we'll do next week. We'll probably do the pre-record because it makes more sense.
Or not.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We like the live. I mean, the live.
Okay. Yeah. Leave a question. Oh my God. I saw the Drastardly one.
The what?
The Drastardly one. Where Lenin talks about the question of Ukraine.
Oh. Maybe we'll. I don't know. Maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll.
No, we're not.
What? All right. Whatever.
We should leave the question of
Ukraine. If you like, I don't know. This is kind of a weird. Like, I don't know. Maybe we do live again. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll do a live. No, I'm just saying like.
I didn't find this. It wasn't too bad. I know I was.
I'm just talking about the question of Ukraine.
Oh.
Damn it. Okay. Never mind.
We'll figure out what we're doing.
No. I was just looking at the question of Ukraine piece, and yeah. Nothing. Nothing. I was not thinking about the current situation of Ukraine and how it should be canceled or anything like that. Definitely not thinking about that. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll see everyone next
week,
and we will
figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure out how we're doing it. We'll probably have more time next week too.
Okay, we'll think about it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
You say your thing.
Oh, slobodu narodu smrti fascismu cut.